My name's Gavin Brown. I'm a senior lecturer in the Accounting, Finance and Economics department. I specialise in corporate finance, teaching at level 6, so third year undergraduate, as well as postgraduate. When I joined the university sort of 2 to 3 years ago now, my focus really was on bringing a more kind of applied approach to financial economics. So obviously there's a lot of sort of conceptual theory and formulae and mathematics around that, but I really wanted to try and almost demonstrate to the students that it's in the real world it doesn't really stand up in the same way. So what I've done is I use a platform called Ball Bearings, which is a free online platform available to students and also casual or leisure investors as well. And what it does is it allows students to trade with a fictitious amount of money, so not real finances, but based upon the real stock price movements of London listed stocks. So what I do is I give £500,000 to each of my students and they trade across various stocks and shares, foreign currencies and derivatives. And what it allows them to do is to experience real world behaviour and really just understand how the theory doesn't stand up in practice. Basically for me it means that I still teach the same theories that get taught on any corporate finance course. But what it allows me to do is for their assessment, their summative assessment for my unit at level 6, is rather than just saying, go away and critique the journals, critique the theory and provide a 3,000 word report or whatever it might be, I actually get them to explain their occurrences of what happened on this platform. So what that enables them to do is to tell me whether they made money, whether they lost money, and why they think that may be the case. And invariably what that means is that the theory didn't work. So by actually demonstrating that the theory doesn't work, they have to show me that they understood the theory and then try and postulate as to why the theory didn't work in practice. And the benefits this include, it gives them a more applied knowledge, so it kind of captures their imagination a bit more. But I think more importantly than that, it shows them that the real world is much more complex and messy than the academic theory would have you believe. They start on day one really, so effectively I introduce it as a key component of the course, and then as we proceed through the course week by week, they learn about different instruments, and then following sort of that education process they can then, for almost as part of their homework and reading, go away and trade those instruments in the real world. The actual platform itself is very easy to set up. I just create a league for a given class in a given academic year. And the students compete against one another, and at the start of each individual class I actually bring the league up so they can see how they all rank against each other in a very kind of sort of healthy competition, to capture their imagination. It's also quite interesting because on Ball Bearings there's lots of other universities across the UK and globally doing this. 97 UK universities do it, and so I also show how their aggregate impacts as a class sort of ranks alongside various other UK institutions. So for instance, last academic year we finished 22nd out of 97 universities, so it was quite nice to see them kind of gelling as a group to try and outcompete their peers at other institutions. I think from my perspective is because I come from a kind of non-traditional academic background. I have the same qualifications, but I've come from experience in the city as well. So I used to work in hedge funds and investment banking, and it was always one of the things that sort of was really kind of impinged upon me, was this notion that the financial markets are not rational. They don't behave as you would expect them to behave. And I was really keen to translate what I'd seen in the real world, so to speak, into my classroom, because I didn't want my graduates to leave MMU with this notion that we have a great book understanding, but actually in the real world they're likely to get kind of chewed up, for want of a better phrase, when it comes to trading stocks and shares. So I really wanted to bring that home. And as well as that, I think the academic theory, like anything else, can be relatively dry, but as soon as you put it in the context of making money, competing against your friends, incorporating that into the kind of experiential learning of the assignment, competing against other universities, it suddenly then wraps up to kind of bring the motivation and the inspiration to study more to the students. So that was kind of a twofold thing: capture their imagination and also to demonstrate that the real world is different to the academic world. I mean, I keep in contact with a lot of my students through things like LinkedIn. That's how I provide my references. I put them up on their profile so they can see them. And a lot of the time they will feed back to me, often when they've been successful at interview or even in their jobs at the moment. And the word that always comes back is this notion of applied. That they found the applied nature of my course really useful. It means that when they go to interviews and, like last academic year, the key thing was Royal Mail, flotation of Royal Mail. And that was a big part of our course. A lot of my students traded that, made a lot of money off that. And it meant that when they were in interviews and they were having to talk about contemporary issues, maybe a moving exchange rate or something like the Royal Mail share price, they weren't just able to comment on it quite articulately, but they'd actually read a lot about it. They were passionate about it. And they were then able to go on and talk about whether they'd made or lost money using this bull bearings platform. And that allowed them to be kind of differentiated as a candidate compared to other people going for the same position. So that's rewarding for me as well, because I can see that my students aren't just getting superior learning, but they're translating that into graduate positions when they leave.
Thank you for watching this Good Practice Exchange film. You can find lots more teaching ideas and resources on our website.